says the program's not in assembly.
The link should be, is it on you?
I think I'm logged in.
We got it right here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
Good afternoon. I'd now like to call the Nash County Public School System Technology Department Committee meeting to order. And at this point, I will turn it over to Mr. McQueen.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening to the board. I have some information that I'm going to share today, and I brought a few of my team members of the technology team out tonight, and we're going to share some things with you tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. If you can see on this first screen, this right here shows you a list of our entire department. And so we are a department of 17. We have about 13 technicians. We have one senior one senior engineer. We also have a secretary and a CTO, and one guy that we call, he is the jack of all trades, and that's Alan Casper. He is labeled as a technician, but he actually does everything. So he's not assigned to a specific school, so I really don't call him a technician. But anyway, we have 13 techs that support about 32 sites, and that should include 29 schools. And that's roughly under, maybe they support right under 15,000 students and right at 1,300 staff members. So with this group, the reason why I bring this up, this group has really worked diligently through the transition to remote learning. From prepping devices to imaging, troubleshooting, repairing, running the help desk, or what have you. You know, these guys and gals have really worked really hard to help our district and get our district to where we are doing online support, online remote learning. So we have transitioned from a team that worked behind the scenes to being that team that we are alive and we are in front now that COVID has hit and technology is now in front. So, but this team is really to be appreciated for their countless long hours of dedication and their hard work. And so I want to personally say that I appreciate this team. A lot of people in the community or in our school system really don't get to see them at work, you know, but they spend long hours, countless hours working, you know, with for our district. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go to the next slide. This next slide shows you just a list of some of the devices and some of the programs that they support. So if you look here, this says Nash County Public Schools, the technology, this is by the numbers. If you look, we have 11,604 devices that are currently deployed to students. And this is from second grade all the way to 12th grade right now. We have about 1,400 devices that are currently deployed to staff. We have about 1,400 access points in every classroom, in every school, and even in most of our offices on our in our administrative offices. I'm sorry. And if you look there, I'm not going to go down the whole thing, but there's a lot of numbers and that our technology people they support. So they are to be commended of that too as well. Now, listed here, I couldn't list all of the projects that we got. Some of the ones that I'm going to talk about are the ones I think are most important and most need to be talked about. The project, the name change project, you guys remember that we had to change the name of our district by July 1st of 2020. Now, a lot of people think that just the name change means that we just changed the name. It wasn't that simple. There was a lot of work that was put in place to accommodate this name change. Things like we had to really build a network from ground up in 6 months, 6 months, and make it function as the network that we had about, I think it was 16 years that we had a network in place that was tweaked all those years and it was working fine. And so we had to build one from ground up in 6 months to make it work as if versus the one that we had for 16 months. So 16 years. So I want to say that I really commend this staff for working through that, because it was no joke. I mean, I would give the microphone to JR. He'll tell you. He will tell you. But going on with that, we're still kind of exercising and feeling the remnants right now of the name change. And there are still some things that we're tweaking, some things that we're finding out that we need to add, some things that we need to change. So that is still going on. So name change just wasn't a name change. One other thing that I want to talk about with our recent projects is our help desk live support. And the reason we had to implement that is simply because we moved into the phase of online support. When COVID hit, all schools went, online support. So at first, during the summertime, we had the help desk implemented. However, we were not getting as many calls as we thought that we should have gotten. We were getting maybe 4 calls. We had 3 technicians assigned a day, and we were getting about 4 calls a day during the summer. So I understood that this would probably be the same, we'll get the same amount of calls until the first week of school started. Oh my God. So what we had implemented first was when someone would call, they would leave a voicemail, it would create a work order, and it would send out to the appropriate technician. Once we found out it was 300 calls per day, we could not keep up with that volume. So we really had to put something in place. So we put this live help desk in place, and we partnered with the bus garage, and they were able to give us 4 nice ladies. They are bus monitors, and they really caught on quick. We started with 4. I think 2 of them, they quit. They really couldn't handle the calls and the frustration, so they gave us 2 more. So we still have 4 right now, but it has tremendously been a help for parents to hear live people. And some of the ladies, I think that they understand technology much more now that they've been involved. These were people who really didn't have a background in technology, but some of the problems and some of the things that they were contending with was some of the same problems over and over. So they were able to catch on, have really good customer service, and I think it's working out, So moving on to the current projects, the T-Mobile 10 million project. Now, this project will replace what we currently have in place, which is the Sprint 1 million. Now, just a few, I think maybe less than a year ago, T-Mobile and Sprint, they merged. So with this program, I assume the way they tell me, that's going to offer us much more. This program actually offers us free MiFis to our students, and there's a formula that they use, and that formula is based off of the free and reduced lunch. So, and then they designate, this is how many you get. So they have a formula based off the free reduced lunch. So that's what we're transitioning to. We currently have a application in right now. We're just waiting to hear from that. And I'm excited about that program as well. Moving on to one thing that I think is very important. We just implemented a Canon copier deployment. Now, we were with Toshiba for years. And one of the problems when I first got here is how difficult it was to keep those copiers up, the support. It was just time to go. You know, so we implemented a new copier solution. Everybody loves it. We have features that we've never had before here in Nash County, which is really good. People now can come up to the copier. We have it all connected to our Active Directory, which we don't have to go anywhere else and enter names and enter a whole different database. So it's currently connected to our Active Directory, which we already have, which is really good. So we don't have to do any extra work there. But it's a lot of features that I share with you later. You know, I ain't gonna go with that now. Moving on to the full one-to-one district for all grades. Now, because we are in this COVID season, one of the accommodations that we had to make, because every student wasn't going to be here, they were going to be home. The accommodation that we had to make was providing devices to our pre-K and through our second grade. Now, those students did not have devices. At first, I thought it was a little bit of reaching, but it made sense. You know, these students are going to be home, they need access to devices as well. So with the COVID funds that we've received, we were able to purchase devices for our pre-K all the way to our fourth grade, because the board, you guys know that we needed to replace those elementary devices. We had some old devices that need to be replaced, and I can't wait until they are replaced. So we put that in place, but the only unfortunate thing about it, because every district in every state, in everywhere, are experiencing this COVID, everybody's buying. So with that being said, we have a lot of products and a lot of things that we're purchasing that are just not on the shelf. You know, so I talked to some of my colleagues in Wake County and Durham County, and they're experiencing the same thing that we are. But they did get a little bit of their devices. So I called my vendors like, hey, what's up? But anyway, so that's what I wanted to really lay out about our full one-to-one district for all grades. So I'm excited about that, that we're going to have full one-to-one across the board, every student, every child. All right.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What type of devices are going into the pre-K homes?
All right, that is a really good question. From our pre-K first grade, they will get a Lenovo 10E. And what this is a tablet that it's a touchscreen tablet. So if you think about a Chromebook, it's a Chromebook without a keyboard, in other words. So we thought that this was much better for us because we're already using Chromebooks and it's already on the platform that we can push out apps. We can push out updates or anything that we need to do. But most of all, there are no viruses for Chromebook OS right now, knock on wood. So that is one of the biggest things that why we went with the 10E. Do you want to know about the other grades too?
That couldn't hurt.
Okay, yeah. So with the, like I'm saying, pre-K through the first grade, that is the 10E, that's the Lenovo touchpad, what do you call it? Touchpad. And the second grade they're getting a Chromebook, but the second grade Chromebook is a 300E. And the reason why is because it's a touch Chromebook. It has a keyboard as well as touch. And the reason why we did that because of the transition from the touchpad and to the keyboard. So we wanted it to be really easy for that transition. And if you think about our I think the next grade, second grade all the way up to 12th will have the same type of device. It'll be a Chromebook that is not, it's not a touch screen Chromebook, but they function the same.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, so I'm not gonna stay too long here. What I like to always show is what the previous year of our Fund 8. And Fund 8 is the funding that we use to, this is our technology fees, our repairs. This is what we use to pay our lease. This is what we use to purchase any device needs, any parts and things like that to replace for student devices. So if you look, we had a carryover, that should have been 18, 19, I'm sorry. The carryover from that year of $292,000. All right. And so last year, we collected about $96,000 for our tech fees. And that's the $20 student fee that we require to use those devices. The repair fee was actually, this is the highest I've seen it since I've been here, was $36,000. The Lenovo reimbursements, this is $113,000. Now, this is important because our technicians work on these devices and we get a reimbursement for the devices that we work on. So the requirements for that is our technicians have to be A+ certified. But like I said, we get this reimbursement. And Deborah, I don't know if there's anything you need to say about it. Okay. But anyway, so this is really good. And this will increase this year once we get those new devices, because even if we repair devices, we don't get a reimbursement unless warranty is on the device. So with the new devices that we're getting, warranties are on those devices, and it'll replace most of the elementary devices. So if they break them, we get the reimbursement. Okay. Moving on, we have the lease. And so this lease right here consists of two different leases. One of the leases is we purchase devices for our teachers. It was Dell laptops for our teachers. The other lease was Chromebooks. We purchased Chromebooks. I think it was for 8th grade or 7th grade through the 12th grade. Yeah. So that's the amount of those leases combined for 574. Okay. Now last year our repair expenditures were much lower than we have expected. Well, I can't say that. The year prior, it was about $98,000 because a lot of our devices went off of warranty. So we had to be the warrantor. So we had to purchase a lot of parts. So with last year, a lot of the parts that we used were machines that we already had. They were old. We were able to take some of the parts off of those machines and reuse those parts. So that's why you see that the repair expenditures are much less. Okay.
In that repair fee year to date, the 37,000, is what has been collected?
That was for, I should have said year to date off, but that was last school year.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So through
1920.
June of last year.
Yes.
Do you know off the top of your head what was billed versus what collected? I mean, did we get every penny? I'm guessing not.
No.
Even close,
We usually miss, well, okay, I guess I can talk about this here. I think the penny, because we're losing a lot of money, and I'm gonna tell you why. we had a culture before that we are working to change right now, that if you don't pay the technology fee this year, then you can pay it when you graduate, before you
You
graduate.
just have to pay it before you graduate.
Right, but the problem with that is a lot of parents and a lot of students are surprised once they get to graduation and they can't go to graduation or prom before they have to take care of that fee. And then they're looking, they're like, okay, well, dang, this was way back in middle school, you know, but that fee followed you. So what we want to encourage is our parents to make sure that they're paying that at least within the first few months, you know. But dollar amount, we did it last year, and I think I remember we were still, I think it was $50,000 or $60,000 every year
Of uncollected.
of uncollected. Yes.
What's the
Are
average
you,
ticket?
are you? I'm sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
Steve. Are you talking about the tech fee?
Yes, ma'am.
I was talking about the repair.
Oh, you're talking about repair fee. Oh, oh my God. Oh, yes. Even that repair fee, the repair fee, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I can get that for you.
No,
But it's huge
I
too.
assumed there was, and are people just able to appeal it
Yes.
in the prior culture you spoke to and just
Mhm.
kind of work around
Right.
or not graduate?
But right, they can't walk. Like, you want to speak to that? You want to talk about it?
I don't know.
Okay. But do you want to talk about some of
That's, I
the
mean, I can
issues?
do
Okay.
it all.
All right. All right. Any more questions?
Question. I have another question. I know we talked couple of years ago, before, it's been longer than a couple of years ago, but it was before you actually came, Tremaine. And if I remember correctly, I think we said that for those students who could not pay that tech fee or even the repair fee, that we would not hold them back from graduation. I think we said something like that. So
I don't think you can hold graduating. I think you can hold the diploma. You can't hold it from graduating because they completed their courses. You can hold their diploma if they want to go somewhere like a community college. You can hold some of those. You can't say that you can't graduate.
Right.
Because of
All right. Did everybody hear that?
But can't walk.
right. They can't walk, which is a ceremony piece, is what they
Just
probably
me.
did here.
okay, but in this climate that we're in now and that we were in last year, how many students fell into that category?
It was a lot, but I'm gonna tell you, Miss Bullock, a lot. Yeah, a lot of those students did pay. They pay because they want to participate in the graduation. So we see a lot of our funding that comes in, right, before graduation, before prom, and before graduation. A lot of the funding. So even the children who have problems paying, they end up finding the money, and we do work out something, you know, with them if, you know, it's based on the situation, you know. But there is also what is that form we call the hardship? There's a hardship form that we allow people to fill out if there is a problem with them paying the annual technology fee or, you know, something like that. So there is an option that they can fill out that form, and if there's a problem there.
I just hate the thought that we let that the kids can go, I think you said from middle school or wherever, if they don't pay it each year, and it can accumulate, and then they get to their senior year And we demand that money. I'm glad to be reminded of the hardship form. I do remember hearing about that before. I just forgot it. But that makes me feel a little bit better. But I really don't like the thought that we've tried for at least 4 years in some cases to collect this money, and we didn't do it. And we wait till we get to graduation, and while the ceremonial piece is just that, a ceremony, it's still vitally important. And I hate that we keep kids from participating in that simply because we've gone 4 years without collecting $20, $30 per year. And
Well,
And Ms. Fuller, I just wanted to add to having worked at the high school. I mean, for some students it's up to 6 years because we're going all the way back to 6th grade. I would love to see something that kind of worked through those years. So okay, maybe every other year or something to help, because I've seen seniors crying, breaking down because they have that difficulty with paying, and it all comes down at one time where they're also trying to pay for cap and gown, and they're trying to pay for this and working themselves to pay for those things. So I would agree with you there, not waiting those 6 or 4 or 3 years to get that payment so that it doesn't come down. And I mean, however long it is, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Jermaine.
Yes, sir.
My question, please. I hear the concerns and the issues that's going on, but whether it's 4 or 6 years, it's not the kid, it's the parent. So the parent had a responsibility to follow through with their kids. At the end of this conception, who's going to be paying for this is not the kid, but the parent. So the parent has that responsibility, and I'm sure we do our due diligence to remind those parents every year. It's just like any other services that's being provided. Am I not correct?
That is correct. I think some of the they send out the the schools send out information around report card times, and they send, whether you got, this is your balance, this is how much you still owe, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we are doing our due diligence to try to make sure that we notify them, giving them information.
And I'm not saying we are not, but I think my point that I'm trying to make though is that you send me an invoice that say year 1 I owe $20, right? If I have to choose between paying that $20 and buying some food to feed my family, what do we really think these parents are gonna do? I know what I would do. I would buy food. So I've gone this year, that's $20. Next year, if my financial situation is still the same, I'm gonna make that same decision. That's how it gets to pile up and accumulate. And that's one of the things that hurt me. I wish we could come up with some other way to handle this rather than, okay, you didn't pay it this year, so we'll go on. And by the time you get to be a senior, that's when we've got to come to an agreement and you pay the money, and the situation might still be the same. That is what bothers me, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
I was just going, that'd be a perfect hardship situation. I would hope we would, make allowances for that child. I'm guessing every child is not in that situation. You've got plenty where they're just letting it go year to year. They do have the ability, and we're not collecting it. So yeah, I would hope if it's a choice between food and a device, they're certainly eating.
But how many of our parents know that hardship form even exists?
Okay,
Right.
let me add this. Is this a question?
I
Because
actually
we're on a
forgot.
time schedule. How much time do we have?
We,
Yeah, we're on a time schedule. I know years ago that the faith base would chip in when families had hardships, and I don't know if we're still tackling that, but there were some very large churches that would take care of certain families. Because some of them, like Ms. Bullock mentioned, is not just one child, it's 2 or 3 children. And so then you're talking about a bigger number by the time that oldest one gets to whatever. But if we could look at our faith-based connections, that may be something we should look back at and remind them that we need this help.
all right, moving on to the.
I've got one more question before you move on.
Okay.
The little note on the right-hand side that you have, financial implication.
Yes.
So the state has supplanted the money, we get COVID money, and then they take funds that they would have given us in PRC 015.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, they did.
I'm not surprised.
They have, and
Shell game.
this right here, and I really put this because this right here really hurts. And I'm gonna tell you why. I think we average about maybe 300 to maybe 4. It varies each year, but it's about 300, 400,000. I think roughly on average, maybe 350,000 that we get in this funding every year. Now, this funding is my year-to-year operation, so we depend on this funding. So the people at the state have said, you know, just because y'all get this COVID money, now you should be good. You know, you got this, but however, the COVID money is used to accommodate remote learning. You know, so we had to use that money to accommodate the things that we didn't have in place, the things that we needed to put in place, so that we can truly support remote learning. But that's different from operational budget. So we've, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We need to publicly discuss that, because when you read the paper and listen to TV, it seems that the COVID money is, I hate to use the word free, but it does insinuate that it's money that we weren't getting before. So we're getting this extra pile of money. And I don't think the public is quite aware of that. And we need to make sure that that is publicized. And we also, the board needs to be talking to our legislators, because we don't need them to supplant money in this time when remote learning is so expensive.
We should definitely bring this up when we're in the major board, so that press will be aware of it. And please do ask that same question. That'd be a good time to bring it up.
Mr. McQueen?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? I'm
Yes,
fading it. I need one of those remote things. I'm fading in and out. I'm way out deep in the country. So I miss a lot of the discussion, but I didn't catch that part. So on that financial implication that you looked at to your extreme right, if you look dollar for dollar, COVID dollars versus the funding dollars that we typically would get, what would that net balance be?
Well, the COVID,
COVID's about, there's two pots of COVID. There's like a 3 million and another 3.5 million.
Right.
But when it breaks down, when you try to break it down to that, it's a little different because it was special. Right. I'll say this, Mr. Sharp, you're gonna be getting a budget, and this Jarrett did, it'll outline every bit of COVID money that we spent. That'll probably tell you how, well,
you understand?
If we didn't have that CARES funding or COVID money this year, there's no way we could have afforded to do any of these one-to-ones. It was that much money they gave us. So you'll see in the budget how much they gave us and how it was aligned to how we had to spend for the laptop. So
do you understand my question though? Do you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
So
a net
because
positive.
if I'm looking at COVID dollars, and the COVID dollars, they gave us 15 million, and typically the Fund 8 normally gives us 10 million. So that means we had additional 5 million. I'm just throwing out numbers. We had additional
Yeah.
5 million to
Yes.
play with. Is that how that ran?
No, this is not how that ran. But again, like I was saying, we back up. There's a difference between operational. See, that 015 PRC is my operational budget. That's what I expected every year. We have plans for that money, blah, blah, blah. The COVID money came and we had to use that money based off where the need was. So we had to accommodate what we didn't have for remote learning, if that makes sense. So we needed those devices.
So the COVID money is actually delegated, or is that actually direct where you can spend it? Or can you spend it on anything that's dealing with your system?
It had line items with the money, so you had specifics of what you did with the money.
Not only did it have line items, you had real needs that were impacted directly related to the COVID.
The legislation had to meet where the need was, so if we had a summer remote learning plan, that COVID money had to support the learning program that we were doing.
Right.
And typically, the funding that they cut from your PRC 115 would have been used to cover that instead of to cover it.
Yeah, it had been covered my operations.
Okay.
It's a typical shell game they do all the time.
All right, moving on to there are not any more questions. Lastly, I think lastly, is ERate. All right, and I don't think I need to go in detail on ERate. Y'all should, I think you understand. Do you understand what ERate?
Yeah, I remember having some questions about this last year, but.
So that's why I put this in detail, because I remember you had questions. All right, so ERate this year, what we've filed for about roughly $1.3 million of ERate services. All right, so this includes both the category one meaning broadband, things that support wireless. Category 2 is the actual hardware devices like switches, routers, firewalls, and things of that sort. We have been awarded already $710,000, and this right here covers our fiber costs, because we have a monthly cost every month. This covers it. The state does give us the 10%. Remember, the state give us the 10% to cover it. So it's actually no out-of-pocket cost to Nash County schools at all. So we're able to keep our network, our Wi-Fi always updated. I mean, we're working on that new next phase already, with this money. So we're expecting the $634,000 to be approved real soon, and we'll begin with our next phase on upgrading our network infrastructure. So, and again, this is federal money that we apply for, that we normally get, and then the state gives us the 10% that the federal doesn't cover. So it's at no cost to us at all. Okay, are there any questions? That is the.
Could you back up a slide, please?
Yes, sir.
So if that 634,536.96, that's improvement to our next phase of the network or infrastructure. What does that look like?
The infrastructure?
The next phase of the infrastructure.
Oh, next phase. You want to talk about that, JR?
Our next, that's 600,000.
Yeah.
That's for our switches at each of the high schools and middle schools. That will cover upgrading them and moving the current hardware that's in those schools down to the elementary schools.
And then also give us, we also bought access points that we put outside that will allow parents to be able to drive up at all of our schools. So that improved that too as well. Any additional questions?
I just have one quick one.
Yes.
I know we have had some programs and projects that some of the community support has deemed important. The cafes for internet. I know personally where I work, nobody's showing up, but I think it's more of a communication. A lady today said, oh, I saw it, but they had the wrong time at first. So how are those working?
From what I understand, I even say met and talked with some people that are actually the staff that are actually running those. They came and picked up their packets or whatever. They were saying they didn't have much participation though.
I think we need to advertise it a little bit stronger. I think somehow or another, you can't say do it on the internet, because guess what?
Yeah, they don't have.
So I don't know how, I don't know if Connect Ed
We're
or,
trying to push the schools to, because we have a map now, it shows where they are. But we're trying to get the schools to kind of push some of that information out, because you're right, we had was heavily attended in the beginning. We've had some to show up, but, yeah, we need to figure out a way to.
well, I know when ours started, first were when it was gonna be afternoon, then it was changed to morning. And I have seen students walk up with their tablets like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's closed. So I don't know if we can do a Connect Ed. I don't know how we can get that out, but I think you've got pockets of the community that would really, really appreciate it. They just don't know yet.
Are they coming inside the building or are they just?
Yeah,
out in the
if
parking lot?
they have, no, you actually come in. We have the courtside cafe
Set
open
up to do that.
and set up with social distancing, and there is an instructor or personnel there to sign people in. And they just sit there and work on homework. If they have to do remote learning and can't do it at home, that gives them an opportunity to do some of that. So I think it's really, there's a big pocket of people that haven't gotten the word. So if we can figure out how to do that, that might be a plus. A Connect Ed is the only thing I can think of, because there's no point in advertising on the internet.
Darryl made a mention of maybe newspaper. I don't know if that works, as well.
Well, that would be cheaper. Connect Ed is like, I think, a good way, because that parent get that call. All right, was there anything else?
There is not anything else.
Does anybody else have any questions?
I don't have a question, I got a comment for I lost all the answer you was trying to tell me, so I'll call you a little later on. I didn't catch any of it.
I have a community here. All right, at this point, then we will adjourn our meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Don.
Yes, sir.